The old truck rattled as the stranded young woman stepped out, clearly shaken. The farmer paused his work as his little daughter ran toward her and wrapped her arms around the stranger's leg. "Don't leave, Mummy," she cried. The woman froze. The father stared. Nobody expected what would happen next, especially when he found out who she really was. Stay with me to uncover this mystery. 5 years ago, Marcus been a promising mechanical engineer in the city, his drafting table covered with blueprints for innovations that made his supervisor's eyes light up with dollar signs. Then came the phone call that changed everything. His father's cancer diagnosis, stage 3. Maybe 6 months, the doctor said, though they'd stretched those months into 18 through sheer stubbornness and Marcus's unwavering care. He'd left everything, the career, the apartment with the view of the city skyline, the colleagues who'd promised to keep his position warm. He'd come home to the farm family, to the smell of hay and engine oil, to his father's grateful but guilt-ridden eyes. Then Sarah got pregnant. She'd been so beautiful during those months, her belly swelling with life even as his father's body withered. He'd convinced himself he could hold it all together, care for his dying father, support his wife, prepare for fatherhood. He'd been a fool to think life played fair. Sarah hemorrhaged during delivery. Too much blood, too fast, too far from adequate medical care. The doctors saved the baby, a perfect, screaming daughter with her mother's dark curls and his green eyes. They'd already chosen the name, Emma. Marcus held his newborn daughter in one arm and signed his wife's death certificate with the other. His father lasted another 8 months, just long enough to teach Emma to smile, to wrap her tiny fingers around his weathered thumb. "You're a good man, son," he'd whispered the night before he passed. "Don't let this place become your prison." But 5 years later, that's exactly what it had become. A prison of responsibility, of memories, of what might have beens. The farm barely turned a profit. Most days, Marcus worked from dawn until long after Emma was asleep, delivering livestock to buyers, repairing equipment that should have been replaced a decade ago, trying to be both mother and father to a daughter who deserved so much more. Still, he dreamed. Late at night, after Emma's bedtime stories, he'd pull out his old engineering textbooks, run his fingers over designs he'd never finished. Sometimes he sketched new ideas on the backs of feed store receipts, innovations that would never see the light of day. The city felt like another lifetime, a place that existed only in his imagination now. Emma was his anchor, his purpose, his reason for drawing breath each morning. At 9 years old, she had Sarah's compassion and his stubborn optimism. She never complained about their secondhand clothes or the fact that other kids had toys she could only dream about. She just loved him with a fierceness that both sustained and broke him. "Daddy, can we read 2 chapters tonight?" she'd ask, her gap-toothed smile making his chest ache. "We'll see, sweetheart," he'd always reply, knowing he'd give her 3 if she asked. This particular Thursday started like any other, a delivery run to Old Man Peterson's ranch, 40 miles of dusty back roads that gave him too much time to think. Emma had stayed home, one of their neighbors' teenagers watching her for a few dollars Marcus could barely spare. The sun was high overhead when he first passed the stranded car, a sleek black sedan that looked as out of place on this rural highway as a diamond ring in a pigsty. A woman stood beside it, her designer heels sinking into the gravel shoulder, her phone held high as she searched futilely for a signal. Marcus slowed his truck, decades of his father's teachings about helping strangers warring with the harsh reality that he was already running late. The woman looked up as he approached, and even from a distance, he could see the desperation in her face. But he had a delivery to make, money he desperately needed. He pressed the accelerator and kept driving, hating himself a little more with each mile that passed. "Daddy, did you see that lady?" Emma asked the moment he walked through the door 4 hours later, her backpack still on from where she'd just gotten home from school. "What lady, sweetheart?" The one by the broken car. Mrs. Chen drove past her when she picked me up from school. She looked so sad, Daddy, and scared." Marcus felt his stomach drop. 4 hours. The woman had been stranded for at least 4 hours, probably longer. On this road, another car might not pass for hours more. "Emma, I need you to stay here with Mrs. Chen for a bit longer, okay? You're gonna help her?" Emma's face lit up with a kind of pure joy that reminded him why he tried so hard to be a good man. "Yeah, baby, I'm gonna help her." The sun was beginning its descent when Marcus pulled up behind the abandoned sedan. The woman was still there, sitting on the ground with her back against the car, her expensive blazer draped over her knees. She looked up as his truck approached, and he saw the calculation in her eyes, trying to determine if he was salvation or a new threat. "Car trouble?" he called out, keeping his distance to avoid spooking her. She stood slowly, and he could see she was probably in her early 30s, with long, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail that had mostly come undone. Her white blouse was dusty, her face flushed from the heat. "It just died," she said, her voice hoarse, probably from thirst. "No warning, just stopped." Marcus approached the hood. "Mind if I'd take a look?" She hesitated for just a moment before nodding. Yes, please." It took him less than 5 minutes to diagnose the problem. A blown alternator, something he could fix in his sleep if he had the parts. Which he didn't, not for a luxury sedan like this. "It's going to need to be towed," he said, straightening up. "But there's no service out here, and the nearest town with a mechanic is 30 miles that way." He pointed back toward the direction he'd come from. "I know," she said quietly. "I've been trying to get a signal for hours. My phone died about an hour ago." Something in her voice made him look closer. She was trembling slightly, and not just from the heat. "Has anyone else stopped?" he asked carefully. She laughed, a brittle sound. "Oh yes, 2 trucks. The first one, the driver took my purse, said it was a road fee for advice. The second one took my luggage from the trunk while I was trying to explain what happened with the first truck." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I've been robbed twice in 4 hours. I have no money, no ID, no phone, nothing. Just the clothes on my back and a car that won't start." Marcus felt anger flare in his chest, at the men who'd taken advantage of her vulnerability, at himself for driving past the first time. "Look," he said slowly, "I can't fix your car without parts, and it's going to be dark soon. The next town is too far to walk, and honestly—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "It's not safe for you to be out here alone. I can take you to my place. It's not much, but you'll have a roof, food, and a working phone. Tomorrow we can figure out how to get you home." She studied him for a long moment, and he could see the war playing out behind her eyes. Trust versus self-preservation, desperation versus caution. "Why should I trust you?" she asked finally. "You probably shouldn't. I'm a stranger. But I have a 9-year-old daughter at home who would never forgive me if I left you out here, and—" He met her eyes directly. "I promise you, on my daughter's life, I mean you no harm. Just trying to do the right thing." Another long moment passed. Then she nodded, something in his face apparently convincing her. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." Emma was practically vibrating with excitement when they pulled up to the farmhouse, a modest 2-story structure that had seen better decades. She burst through the screen door before Marcus even cut the engine. "You found her! Daddy, you found her!" The woman, she'd introduced herself simply as Sophia during the quiet truck ride, managed a genuine smile for the first time since he'd met her. "I did, sweetheart. Emma, this is Miss Sophia. Her car broke down, and she's going to stay with us until we can help her get home. Think you can help me be a good host?" "Yes!" Emma grabbed Sophia's hand without hesitation, that fearless compassion that sometimes terrified Marcus. "Are you hungry? Daddy makes really good spaghetti." "Well, it's okay. But he tries really hard, so we tell him it's really good. Sophia laughed, a real laugh this time, surprised and warm. Okay, spaghetti sounds amazing right now. The farmhouse was clean, but worn. Everything in it older than Emma. Marcus showed Sophia to the guest room, the one that had been his father's, though he didn't mention that, and dug out some of Sarah's old clothes that he had never been able to throw away. The jeans would probably be too short, but it was better than designer business attire for a farm stay. Dinner was a chaotic affair, Emma chattering nonstop, while Marcus tried to apologize for the state of the house, the simplicity of the food, everything he felt inadequate about. Sophia just kept smiling, asking Emma questions about school, about her favorite books, about life on the farm. "What does your daddy do?" Sophia asked at one point. "He's a farmer now, but he used to build really cool stuff. He has all these drawings of machines. He says one day he's going to work for a big company in the city and invent things that help people. Right, Daddy?" Marcus felt his chest tighten. "That's the dream, sweetheart." "What kind of things?" Sophia asked, something sharp and interested in her gaze. "I was a mechanical engineer, specialized in industrial automation and efficiency systems. But that was a long time ago." "Why did you stop?" The question was gentle, curious, without judgment. Emma answered before he could. "Grandpa got sick, and Mommy died when I was born," she said, matter-of-factly, with the innocent bluntness of children who had never known any other reality. "So Daddy takes care of me and the farm now, but it's okay. We have each other." Sophia's eyes filled with tears that she quickly blinked away. "That sounds really hard." "Sometimes," Emma agreed, "but Daddy says hard things make us stronger, and he says Mommy would be proud of us." Marcus reached over and squeezed his daughter's hand, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. The next morning, Marcus woke early, as always, careful not to disturb the house as he started the coffee maker and prepared for another day of work. He found Sophia already awake, sitting at the kitchen table in Sarah's old flannel shirt and jeans, watching the sunrise through the window. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked softly. "Different bed. And I kept thinking about everything." She turned to look at him. "Thank you for taking a chance on a stranger." Emma would say it's not taking a chance, it's just being decent. I poured 2 cups of coffee. "Think we can use my landline to call someone for you today? Your family must be worried sick." Something flickered across her face. Panic maybe, or calculation. Yes, but maybe not first thing. I should clean up first, figure out what to say. They're going to be so angry." It was an odd response, but Marcus didn't push. Everyone had their family dynamics. They tried the phone after breakfast, but the number she gave him just rang and rang with no answer. "Probably at work," she said quickly. "Can we try again later?" The pattern repeated over the next 3 days. Sophia would provide a number, no one would answer, she'd explain it away. Marcus started to suspect she was hiding something, maybe running from an abusive husband or in some kind of trouble she didn't want to admit. But she was so good with Emma, so helpful around the farm despite her obvious unfamiliarity with rural life, that he couldn't bring himself to push too hard. By day 4, something had shifted in the house. Emma had taken to calling Sophia Miss Sophie and insisted she help with bedtime stories. Sophia seemed lighter somehow, laughing more easily, the tension gradually leaving her shoulders. Marcus noticed other things too, the way her breath caught when she thought no one was watching, the way her eyes followed him when he worked, the way she bit her lip when Emma asked innocent questions about whether Sophia might stay longer. That afternoon, he was working in the south field, replacing irrigation lines in the brutal afternoon heat. He'd stripped down to a tank top, his skin slick with sweat and grime, completely absorbed in the rhythmic work of physical labor. He didn't notice he had an audience until Emma's voice rang out, bright with mischief. "Miss Sophie, do you like my daddy?" Marcus's head snapped up to find both of them standing at the field's edge, Emma grinning like the cat who got the cream, Sophia's face flushed crimson. "Emma!" Sophia gasped, laughing despite her embarrassment. I was just—" "You're staring," Emma said smugly. "I saw you. You think he's handsome?" "I think," Sophia said carefully, shooting Marcus an apologetic look, "that your daddy works very hard and that's admirable. That's not what your face says, Emma sang song, then took off running before Sophia could respond, her laughter floating back across the field. Marcus couldn't help but smile as he walked over, grabbing his shirt from where he'd draped it on the fence. Sorry about that. She's been reading a lot of romance books from the library lately. Got matchmaking on the brain. She's wonderful, Sophia said softly. Then, meeting his eyes, you both are. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither was quite ready to name. That evening at dinner, Emma struck again. "Daddy, Miss Sophie was staring at you today," she announced cheerfully around a mouthful of mashed potatoes. "Emma," Marcus warned, but he was fighting a smile. "She was. She looked like the princess in that movie when she sees the prince for the first time. Emma made an exaggerated, dreamy face. Sophia had turned such a deep shade of red that Marcus actually felt bad for her. That's enough. Miss Sophia was probably just making sure I wasn't getting heat stroke or something equally boring." "Is that true, Miss Sophie?" Emma asked innocently. Sophia had her face in her hands, laughing despite her mortification. "Your daughter," she said to Marcus, "is going to be a force of nature someday." "Already is," Marcus agreed, shooting Emma a look that promised they'd be having a conversation about boundaries later. But Emma just grinned, completely unrepentant, and Marcus felt a flutter of something he hadn't allowed himself in years. Hope, maybe, or the dangerous beginning of happiness. That night, after Emma finally went to bed, with many theatrical complaints about being tired, Marcus found Sophia on the porch, wrapped in an old quilt against the evening chill. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. She patted the space beside her on the swing. "Please, I owe you an apology for today, and for Emma's enthusiasm." "Don't apologize for Emma. She's just—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "She wants me to be happy. Sometimes I think she worries about me as much as I worry about her." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the chain of the porch swing creaking gently. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia said finally. "Do you resent it, the life you gave up?" Marcus considered the question seriously. "Sometimes," he admitted. "Late at night, when the bills are piled up and I can't see a way forward. Yeah, I resent it. I think about the career I could have had, the innovations I might have created, the difference I could have made." He paused. "But then Emma calls me daddy, or she shows me a drawing she made, or she tells me about her day like I'm the most important person in the world, and I think, maybe I'm making a different kind of difference, maybe not a smaller one." "That's beautiful," she whispered. "What about you?" he asked, turning the conversation. "You've been dodging questions for 4 days now. Who are you running from, Sophia? Or is it what?" She was quiet for so long he thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was small, almost childlike. "I came out here to inspect a property for work," she said carefully. "I'm in real estate development." The lie came smoothly, practiced. "I was headed back when the car broke down. My ex-husband, she swallowed hard. "He drinks, a lot, and when he drinks, he gets mean. Not physically, but the words, God, the words hurt almost as much. I'm not running from him exactly. We're divorced, but his family is powerful and they make my life difficult. Being out here with you and Emma, it's the first time in years I've felt like I could just breathe." Marcus felt anger simmer in his chest again, this time directed at a man he'd never met. "I'm sorry. No one should have to live like that." "What about you?" she asked, turning the conversation. "Have you thought about dating? Emma needs a mother, and you deserve to have someone." He laughed quietly. "Between the farm and Emma, I barely have time to sleep. Besides, what woman wants to sign up for this?" He gestured at the worn porch, the house that needed paint, the life of struggle. "I'm not exactly a catch anymore." "I think," Sophia said softly, "you'd be surprised what some women might see in you. A good man who puts his child first, who keeps his promises, who can fix anything with his hands, and still dreams about building something better. That's not nothing, Marcus." The way she said his name made something in his chest tighten. "What about you?" he asked. "What do you dream about?" She smiled sadly. "I don't remember the last time anyone asked me that. Everyone always wants to know what I plan to do, what markets I want to penetrate, what my 5-year strategy is. But dreams? I used to dream about being loved for who I am, not for what I can provide. I dreamed about having children, about bedtime stories and skinned knees and PTA meetings. Silly things." "Not silly," Marcus said firmly. "Not silly at all." Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Understanding, recognition, the dangerous spark of connection. The next morning, Marcus woke to the smell of fresh coffee and the sound of Emma giggling in the kitchen. Sophia was already at the table, poring over a map of the surrounding area. "What's all this?" Marcus asked, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "I'm trying to figure out if there's a safe route back to the city," Sophia admitted. "I can't call anyone until I know I'm prepared." Marcus nodded, understanding without asking. Sometimes people needed space to protect themselves. Over the next few days, Sophia helped around the farm, learning quickly despite her lack of experience. She could handle the animals with surprising confidence and even fixed the leaky barn door without complaint. Emma adored her, and Marcus noticed how easy it felt to laugh when she was around. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the fields, Marcus found Sophia sitting by the pond skipping stones. "You've gotten really good at that," he said, taking a seat beside her. She smiled but didn't look at him. "I had a lot of practice running from things. It helps with focus." Marcus frowned, sensing there was more behind the words. "Sophia, I don't want to pry, but I have to know, why won't you let anyone contact you? Your family? Friends? Anyone?" She hesitated, then finally met his gaze. "Because some truths are dangerous, and some people in my life, they don't forgive mistakes easily." Marcus felt a chill run through him. "Dangerous how?" She shook her head. "I can't explain. Not yet." He didn't push further. For now, he had to respect her boundaries, even if it meant living in uncertainty. Days turned into weeks. The farm became a small world unto itself, a haven for the three of them. Marcus noticed that Sophia's laughter became more frequent, and the tension in her shoulders eased. One afternoon, as Marcus worked on a broken tractor, Sophia joined him. "You need help?" she asked, rolling up her sleeves. "I could use an extra pair of hands," he admitted, surprised by how natural it felt to have her nearby. Emma ran around pretending to direct construction, which only added to the chaos and laughter. For the first time in years, Marcus felt hope creeping back into his life. Hope that things could be good, simple, and honest. Later that night, Sophia stayed up to help Marcus with the barn repairs. The porch swing creaked under their combined weight as they worked in silence, the night air heavy with unspoken emotions. "You make it look easy," Marcus said finally. "I've had to adapt. Life doesn't wait for anyone." Their hands brushed as they passed a hammer, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. One rainy evening, the three of them huddled in the living room. Marcus and Sophia sat on the couch, while Emma curled up in a blanket on the floor, drawing pictures of the three of them together. Emma looked up from her drawing and said, "Daddy, Miss Sophie, when can you stay forever?" Sophia froze, caught off guard. Marcus felt his chest tighten. "Sophia, do you want to stay forever?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then nodded, unable to speak the words aloud. The weight of her secret life, her fears, all seemed lighter in that moment. Marcus reached out and took her hand. "You're safe here, with us." Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. I think I've never felt this safe anywhere before." Emma clapped happily. "See, Daddy always makes the right choices." Marcus laughed softly. He glanced at Sophia, their hands still entwined. There was a lot they hadn't said. and secrets that remained unspoken. But for the first time in years, Marcus believed in the possibility of happiness, real, lasting happiness. As the rain pattered against the windows, the three of them sat together, a fragile but growing family, bound by trust, laughter, and the quiet promise of more to come. One rainy evening, the three of them huddled in the living room. Marcus and Sophia sat on the couch, while Emma curled up in a blanket on the floor, drawing pictures of the three of them together. Emma looked up from her drawing and said, "Daddy, Miss Sophie, when can you stay forever?" Sophia froze, caught off guard. Marcus felt his chest tighten. "Sophia, do you want to stay forever?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then nodded, unable to speak the words aloud. The weight of her secret life, her fears, all seemed lighter in that moment. Marcus reached out and took her hand. "You're safe here, with us." Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. I think I've never felt this safe anywhere before." Emma clapped happily. "See? Daddy always makes the right choices." Marcus laughed softly. He glanced at Sophia, their hands still entwined. There was a lot they hadn't said, and secrets that remained unspoken. But for the first time in years, Marcus believed in the possibility of happiness. Real, lasting happiness. As the rain pattered against the windows, the three of them sat together, a fragile but growing family, bound by trust, laughter, and the quiet promise of more to come. Day 7 dawned clear and bright. Sophia knew she had to finally tell Marcus the truth about who she really was. After breakfast, with Emma off to school, Sophia pulled out her phone. "I need to call my family," she said, her hands trembling. Marcus nodded silently. "I'll be in the barn if you need me." The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. "Thornton Estate, Marie speaking." "Sophie," Sophia whispered, voice shaking. "It's me. I'm safe. I'm at a farm." The shriek on the other end was immediate. "Miss Sophie, where are you? Your father has had half the state searching." Sophia gave the address, hands trembling, listening as Marie promised her father would come immediately. When she hung up, Marcus approached. "Your family?" "Yes, they're coming this afternoon." Marcus forced a smile. "That's good, really good." Sophia's eyes searched his face. "Marcus, it's complicated. I don't want to leave, but I have responsibilities, a whole company, people depending on me." Marcus's chest tightened. "Then go. Safe travels, Miss Thornton." Emma came home and discovered Sophia staring into the distance. "Miss Sophie, why do you look sad?" "Because I have to leave, sweetheart." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "No, you can't leave. You and Daddy are supposed to... We were going to..." Sophia hugged her tightly. "I love you both. This week, you became my family." Marcus remained silent, holding Emma close. The words caught in his throat. Sophia stepped toward the convoy, looking back once more. "I meant everything I said. About you, Marcus, and your dreams. Please, believe me." Marcus didn't answer, his eyes filled with pain. The SUVs pulled away, leaving behind dust, heartache, and the memory of a fleeting but perfect week. Emma cried herself to sleep, clutching the wildflower crown Sophia had made. Marcus sat on the porch, feeling the full weight of loss. Not just the woman he'd fallen for, but the glimpse of a life he hadn't allowed himself to dream. In the city, Sophia sat in the back of her father's sedan, staring out the window. Her phone buzzed with dozens of missed calls and messages, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel the need to answer. Because for a brief, shining week, she had found love, warmth, and a place where she truly belonged. And maybe, one day, they'd find their way back to each other.